Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Mind Body Monday. Welcome to Mind Body Monday. It's really lovely to see you here. It's a Monday night. Hi there, Millie. Welcome back. Nice to see you. Missed you last week. I'm not taking a role. Don't worry. Okay. Lisa, if you're here and your family, lovely to see you. Welcome. Naomi's joining us. Rivka's here. Mavis is here. Miriam is joining us. We've got a GS. We'll have to figure out who that is. Maybe it's a Secret Service agent because I'm speaking about our hot topic tonight. Miriam is joining us. We have a Deb in the view. That's amazing. Okay. So it's really good to see you. I've posted in the chat the topic we are talking about. And if you're new, welcome. I've also put in the chat the places where you can connect with me on our WhatsApp group, on my YouTube channel, in the Facebook group, etc., etc. Let's get started with this topic today. Just going to call up my cheat sheet so I can keep score. Just for those of you who are new, it's important to remember that at the end of the Mind Body Monday, when I say thank you for joining me, stay on the live session, because this way you can get the opportunity to ask me your questions on our topic today. For the replay, I do not post the questions and answers because you've taken time in your life to join me, and I want to gift you with that opportunity to ask some questions relating to the topic. While we're waiting for one or two people to join, if you are new, welcome. My name is Avraham Gundle. I'm the founder and director for the Center for Integrated Medicine. I'm trained as an osteopath and practice functional and integrated medicine. And over the last 30 years or so, I've been privileged to help many people recover from a whole list of chronic diseases, be they gut disorders, immune issues, thyroid, diabetes type 2, autoimmune conditions, skin conditions, etc. And part of my passion is really sharing with whoever would like to take their health to the next level on Mind Body Monday. Strategies, insights from the clinic, all sorts of things that you can do to advance your health and well-being, that of yourself, your family, and your circle, so to speak. And if you haven't yet heard, I'm soon to be launching a Heal Your Gut 8-week online program, and it could be an in-person program as well. So if you have any gut issues that you would like some help with fast-tracking your success, then you're going to be able to do that in this group, where you'll learn my favorite tricks to heal your gut from the inside out, end your symptoms, end frustration, trying to figure out what you should eat and what you shouldn't eat, and really get the healing you can so you can get your life back. So if this interests you, just type gut health in the chat and I'll come back to you with more info. So I'm just going to make a new start for the replay. So let's get started here. So, okay. Oops, didn't want to open my Outlook. That I don't want to do. So bear with me as I just close everything else. Okay, let's kick off. Welcome to Mind Body Monday, and thank you all for joining me. In today's session, we're going to take a deep dive into a hot topic. That topic is fats that heal, fats that inflame. I really wanted to say fats that kill, because they really do, but I want to tone down my excitement of this topic. So it's really fats that heal and fats that inflame. And we're going to be learning more about the oils that you need to limit, what are the dangers of processed oils, the 8 oils that you need to limit or avoid preferably, my favorite oils that you want to include in your daily diet, what makes for good cooking oils or good oils, and what makes for bad ones. And then we're going to do a live question and answer all the way at the end. Now, this topic is really relevant, comes up in my clinic most days, because as my patients transition from what I call a SAD diet, which stands for Standard American Diet, which is highly processed foods, be it processed oils and refined sugars and refined flours, and just a quick pop it in the microwave, type diet. As a transition from that to really taking time to prepare foods, to buy conscious healing foods, then a lot of questions come up, because aside from sugar and glucose corn syrup, which are one of the most inflammatory foods and cause major damage to the body, oils, the wrong oils will probably beat that in a competition. The oils that are currently on the market can either really build our health and well-being, and we're going to go into that, or they really can erode a person's health and well-being. And questions I get often are, what are the healthiest oils to use for sauteing, for deep frying, for making cookies, what doesn't clog my arteries? And I just got as an email just before I started, what should I be frying schnitzel in? What should I be making cookies with? So these questions are really, really relevant, because people want to do the right thing, and it's really confusing to get it right. So shopping for oils can be a little bit complicated. I actually went down to the local store this week in preparation for Mind Body Monday, just to see the amount of oils that are available today. And it can be quite overwhelming. And I've actually brought a whole bunch of my favorites, so I'm going to share those with you shortly. So before I explore the dangers of oils, I want to make sure that we actually appreciate a little bit about the quality of oils. What I mean by that is how important they really are. The macronutrients that are required for vital, healthy living are proteins, fats, and carbs. Protein, I'm skipping, it's not the topic, but fats are incredibly important. Most of our brain is fat. The lipid membranes, the membranes of every cell in our body, is surrounded by a phospholipid membrane, and even the organelles, the tiny little parts of each cell, are made with fat. So fats are essential for our health and well-being, for nerve conduction, for nervous system regulation, for proper mood and emotionality. Fats are absolutely incredibly important. We cannot do without them. They also happen to be a very efficient source of energy. So it's not something we can avoid completely, and therefore it's important just to get the balance right. And that's what I hope to address in this Mind Body Monday. So I don't want to get stuck in the science. I'm going to share with you my favorite book on the topic. This book here by Dr. Udo Erasmus. He, in my opinion, is a world authority. This is called Fats and Oils, a complete guide to fats and oils and health and nutrition. If you want to take a deeper dive, then that is definitely recommended reading. And I follow pretty much what he says to a T. He's an authority on the subject. However, parts can be extremely technical. So what I want to do is just lift out key pieces just to help keep us focused and at least make people aware of what the dangers are, and then to make better, conscious, healthier choices for ourselves and our families. So experts agree that processed oils are one of the biggest culprits to the demise of our health, be it all inflammatory conditions, be it arthritis, diabetes, Alzheimer's, dementia, autoimmune conditions, type 2 diabetes, major gut issues, including leaky gut syndrome, and exacerbation of any digestive problems as well, all the way across to various forms of cancers, because processed oils damage the DNA, prevent proper gene expression. And in a previous Mind Body Monday, I went into looking at strategies how to increase our innate vitality and energy, and I covered the energy the mitochondria piece of how our bodies need energy from healthy fuel sources to fuel our energy. So you can see that previous Mind Body Monday. So bottom line is, if I could just distill the dangers of fats and oils from this entire book in 3 points, there would be that really poor quality fats, I'm going to explain what those are, have 3 major problems. The one is there's something called trans fats, there's something called lipid peroxidizers, and then there's the ratio of omega-3 to omega-6. I don't want to get stuck in the technicalities and the biochemistry of this, but just at a surface level, understand that trans fats are basically when a liquid is turned to a solid, like shortening or margarine. This is what's also called partially hydrogenated fats. And researchers show that if a person just increases their calorie intake by 2% from these trans fats, and I'm going to tell you what those are shortly, they double their risk of cardiovascular disease. What that means is just 2% calorie intake from processed oils like canola oil, for example, and I'll get to those shortly, doubles the risk of cardiovascular disease. And you can say, what? I thought, canola oil. Let me just pull mine out now for you from behind the scenes. So here is a canola oil bottle. And the deception here, I'll go into this a little bit more, says this is refined canola oil. And there's a lovely picture of broccoli here, green broccoli with, looks like got some maybe almond slithers on it. It's green. There's even green writing on the back. All the colors that just connote health and vitality. And the opposite is really, really what's going on. There's reasons for why this product is so popular on the market, and I'll get to that shortly. But trans fats create tremendous trouble within the body. And the second is lipid peroxidazes. These are very fragile elements within the oil that damage DNA, proteins, and membrane lipids. Those are the cellular membranes around every cell in our body. So this is part of the problem of what happens when we consume too much trans fats or processed fats. And the third point is really the poor ratio between omega-6 and omega-3. Most people have heard about the healing benefits of omega-3, but in days of yore, the ratio was like 1-to-1 between 1 part omega-6 to 1 part omega-3, and that is really life-affirming and life-supporting. But now the ratio has gone way out of whack to 10-to-1, 10 parts omega-6 to 1 part omega-3, or even as high as 20 in really processed refined foods. And this triggers a cascade of inflammation in the body, leading to hypertension and autoimmune diseases, neurodegenerative diseases, arthritis, and a whole slew of issues because it impacts and affects gene expression. So that is really a very short synopsis of a very complex topic that is causing these trans fats, lipid peroxidases, which damage cells, and then the poor ratio between omega-6 and omega-3. There are many, many other aspects as well, how the process and refining is done, the additives that are included in the refining process to stabilize the oil, to give them a nice long shelf life. Let's have a look at this one. The shelf life of this one is 2.5 years. Most oils are significantly less than that. So it just stays on the shelf for longer, much easier for the store, much easier for the factory. It stays on the shelf, it doesn't go rancid, and you've got a 2.5-year sell-by date on that one. So let's jump into, now that you know a little bit about why we need healthy oils in our body. We don't make them, my body doesn't make healthy oils, we need them from the outside. And we've looked at briefly some of the dangers in refined oils. I want to share with you 8 oils that that I would encourage you to limit as much as possible, preferably avoid. And I tell my patients, at least in the first 3 months of their healing process. Recently, I saw a young man with a recent diagnosis of cancer, and there are a lot of background to that and complications to that. I'm very confident for all sorts of reasons that he's going to recover fully. One of the strategies to do that is to clean up the diet. I've got this process, which I'll share with my patients, which is really weed, seed, and feed. The weed process is at least the first 3 months of any healing has to be cleaning the garden, because I believe we're all gifted with a wonderful, vibrant sense of health. It's almost like you were gifted with a beautiful gardens with daffodils and sunflowers and the most gorgeous flowers you can possibly imagine. Then you turned your back on your garden, you went away on holiday, and you came back, I don't know, 6 months, a year, 6 years later, and it's just grown over with thorns and thistles. So what happened to the garden? Well, it just got grown over from neglect. So the first step is to just call in a gardener and do the weeding, or pull everything out, till the soil, replace the soil, turn it around, put some new soil in, and plant new seeds. So the first program is weeding, get rid of all the toxic substances. And just if a person does that who's unhealthy or got a health challenge, just the first 3 months of weeding, getting rid of all the toxic substances, and processed oils is a biggie. Processed foods is part of it. Processed sugars, refined foods is another part. We go into much more detail. But if you just to eliminate or switch out the processed refined oils, then it will allow that innate health to come back again. So this is why this topic is so, so important as you go through this cleansing process, this weeding process. And the reason I call it for around 3 months is because the red blood cells last for about 90 to 120 days. They die and new ones are born, which means that the new healthy cells are born in an environment of healing happening right now. So that way, while the processed foods and oils and sugars and all that are eliminated, the body's working to make healthier cells in which the disease that was can no longer take foothold, just like the thorns and thistles are not going to take hold in a overgrown garden because it's well managed and well kept and well looked after. So let's look at some of the, at least the top 8 oils that I told this fellow to really exclude completely. And what I'm going to say now is probably going to answer a fair number of your questions. That the more unwell a person is, either with aches and pains and fatigue or a frank illness or disease process, the more unwell you are, the more strict you really, really have to be, because you want to turn over all those red blood cells in an environment that's only informed with health and nutrition and vitality and all the other lifestyle steps we discussed on Mind Body Monday. So this gives your body the biggest and best ability to bounce back to health and vitality. So let's look at the 8 oils that I recommend, at least in the first 3 months of the program, to leave to the side. So the first one is got to be canola oil, because of those reasons that I mentioned. And just, it's important to recognize the deception on the label. As I mentioned, it's green. It's got broccoli on it, which the brain associates with health straight off the bat. And the giveaway here, by the way, they're right here in Hebrew that choose this oil for more health. It's really not so. I'm not going to all the research about the minute when margarine and polyunsaturated fats came into the market to reduce cholesterol and heart disease. The whole thing just really mushroomed into a disaster with an significant increase in heart disease as a result of arteriosclerosis. And Dr. Dean Ornish did some incredible research on this topic and others. So this is an oil that I wouldn't recommend using. Now, some of you may say, what is Dr. Gundle holding a 3/4 empty bottle of canola oil? And that's a really good question, because the rest went down the drain, and I wanted to keep some for Mind Body Monday. So that's one answer. So cottonseed oil is another processed oil that needs to be removed. Soya oil, sunflower oil that is processed. Now I have here, do I have a sunflower oil? No, that's a sesame oil. We'll get to that in a minute. Any oils that say in Hebrew mezukach, or processed or refined, those three words, processed, refined, mezukach, are not going to be in the first 3 months of your healing program, and should definitely be. And if you are healthy, you don't want to increase, you don't want to have a large amount of those oils in your health program at all. I would not recommend using them at all. Grapeseed oil, if it's processed. I have here, again, I have here a bottle of grapeseed oil. And again, they've got this lovely marketing, nice and green and healthy, a dark green bottle, which is a good thing. I called up the manufacturer to find out more about this product, and careful reading at the back, it said this is from refined oil. So in other words, the process used to make this oil was a refining process using heat, because oils are very, very sensitive to light, heat, and oxygen. And that's why they need to be kept in dark bottles like this, and not clear bottles like this. This is lighter, cheaper, and easier to transport, but it just exposes the oil to more light and furthers the rancidity and the lipid peroxidation going on inside that oil. Now, it's a little bit of a conundrum, because you get a healthy looking bottle like this, but yet this is a refined oil. So this would be an okay oil for massage, or very limited in cooking. We'll get to that shortly. And then there's a rice bran oil, but any of these oils that are refined or processed in any way should be very, very much limited from your diet. And one of the reasons is because I've mentioned three of those reasons: the trans fatty acids, the lipid peroxidizers, and the shift in omega-6 to omega-3 ratio. But also there's something called PUFAs, polyunsaturated fats. Now, there are some minor health benefits to these polyunsaturated fats. However, they're very, very unstable. They're unstable to light, and they react with light, and they react to heat and become rancid. And the rancidity then triggers inflammation in the body through the processes we've discussed. So over time, these polyunsaturated fats could lead to more inflammation and a whole host of diseases. So what makes cooking oils healthy? So one of the things is glass bottles, but you need the good stuff in the glass bottles, but you need to find an oil that, here's an example of an avocado oil. Now, I also called up this company to find out what the truth is. And this avocado oil says it is cold pressed. Now, cold pressed is really good. So some of you wrote into me and said, what is the best oil to use for frying schnitzel? I'll get to that shortly, or making biscuits or challah, etc. You'd want to use an oil that is as unrefined as possible. So looking for words like cold pressed is the way to go. I'm just trying to spot that on the label again. But this one is a cold, there we go. It says that right here on the label, Bekvisha Kara, which means cold pressed. So this is a good thing. And they've also taken the trouble to put it in a glass bottle, which preserves the integrity to light, and if it's on the shelf by the window, and heat, of course, as well. So when you buy oil from the store, you'd also want to keep it at home in a dark cupboard, not on the windowsill. It may be more convenient because it's closer to hand for cooking, but you want to keep it in a dark bottle and away from light and heat. And make sure when you do buy oils that it's well within the expiration date. So those 3 factors: cold pressed, dark bottles, and within the expiration date. So that's really what makes an oils healthier. Let's look at my 6 favorite oils for cooking. I didn't necessarily say they're the most practical, but I want you to have options. So most people haven't heard of ghee, G-H-E-E, but ghee is clarified butter. And when I lived in London, I had a friend who was an Indian, and they cooked a lot with ghee and curry and ghee in stir fries and a wok, which is a very stable, ghee is clarified butter, and it's a very stable form of fat to use in cooking food and in frying, etc. However, the challenge is, A is the taste, but B, it's a dairy product, and if you're going to be making schnitzel, that is a taboo. So fats, when you can use butter, you can use ghee, those definitely is a way to go. Research has shown that olive oil is really one of the most stable oils to use for cooking. And I brought up the olive oil that we use at home. And this one is an empty bottle, only because we've been using this one. And this is a olive oil that says it's olive oil that is cold pressed. Most quality olive oils are cold pressed, and that's what you want to look for. If you compare an olive oil to a lamp lighting oil, olive oil for lighting Shabbos candles or Hanukkah candles, it will say on the label, not for consumption. Why? It's olive oil. Because that oil is the cheapest oil that has undergone this refining process. So hang on a second. Let's just be honest for a moment. Why on candle oil does it say, if it's olive oil, that's toxic and shouldn't be eaten?